We are here at actually one of the biggest disappointments of all the skate parks I've ever been around. Not because the skate park is particularly worse than every other park. I mean, it is not a very good park at all. But I've definitely spent a good bit of time skating here. It's more so what it once was, what happened, and what came to pass. So basically, the first skate park that I ever went to was a skate park in Westminster, Maryland, called Westminster Skate Park. And it was actually, I'll show you some of what I believe is the original ground. So this skate park was just like a metal skate park that was just on blacktop. And it wasn't like this kind of blacktop that's pretty good. It was this ground. It was this ground. And it'll have these like really nasty holes in it. And like anywhere that skateboards consistently land, it just gets worse and worse. So at the bottom of every ramp, it was like basically unskateable. Like it felt like you're almost riding over those like speed bumps that they put at crosswalks for blind people to know where the crosswalk is. And the ramps were made out of metal, and when I first started going there, it wasn't even painted metal. It was just like this like raw kind of like dark purplish black metal that got so hot literally kids would fall on it and get like burned. You had to pay to skate, you had to wear full pads. It didn't matter how hot it was. But it was my first skate park. I went there, I had fun, whatever. Skip forward a little bit. Westminster gets a little bit of a skate scene. A lot of people are petitioning to like have a skate park, get an upgrade on the skate park, and it finally happened, and it was so sick. A local skater named Brian Vanna designed a skate park, and it ended up being this wooden skate park that I'm gonna show you a couple clips of right here as I talk. And it was just a really good layout. Like it had classic skate park dimensions. For the most part, everything was built right with the exception of like the forced air rail. It didn't have enough run up to like roll up the bank. It was like 2 feet of flat and then you pop down onto the rail, which kind of sucked. But other than that, the ground was great. The dimensions of the ramps were great. And the weirdest thing about it was the ramps weren't built by like skateboarders or like a skateboard company. They had hired people at like the local school to wood shop, like the wood shop class built the skateboard ramps, and then they got all the dimensions off online, I guess, and they crushed it. The coping was set good. Probably in the top 5 best wooden skate parks I've ever skated. That wasn't like something that you would find at Woodward. Like it was just like a wooden skate park that you would find in a random city. Super fun, but as time went on, the ramps started falling apart, and I guess the city thought, well, we don't want to have to keep replacing the wood, because they never did. There were just holes all over the place. It just fell apart pretty quick. So they're like, okay, well, we'll do a concrete park, which is what we're going to be skating today. And I'm going to get into why it was the worst thing ever and why the skate park looks the way that it is in a second. It's probably not what you think. It's not the city's fault that this happened. All right, I'll show you the park. So we have this thing that's meant for like a bump over. I've actually skated it back in the day. I've randomly hard flipped it. It's not easy to skate. It's got a lot of impact. My knees messed up from Woodward. I guess I haven't really talked about that, but I'll talk about it in another video. Anyways, the front of the bank, like every obstacle here has these big old holes in it. And like, they're pretty deep. They can definitely catch you. The ground here is kind of like East Coast smooth, so real grippy, but not super bad, not too many rough patches. I'm gonna try to dork around on this, like, it's a little narrow, especially with the holes, so I'm definitely gonna have to like dodge the holes, but other than that, it should be a nice little warm-up bank sesh. Okay, interesting story about this flat bar. This flat bar is from the original park, and it went missing. This place right here, like, took both the flat bars that were here and kept them there for like years, like 8 years, to where like the old park didn't have a flat bar and we really wanted it. We were like, hey, can we have these? And they were just like, no. They were using it to like block off one little section. Like basically, instead of taking a piece of wood and sticking it somewhere, they just stole these rails. This is the first rail I ever 50-50'd, so I'm obviously gonna have to 50-50 it, and I'm gonna have to do it the classic way. I'm gonna have to go heel side. Now that I look at it though, and how scary it is, like with these legs, like it's kind of designed the worst way possible, where it's like, it's got the wally on option, but they're like the legs kind of right there, which is kind of annoying. And then like coming out of grinds, like dealing with the wall, I think you have to like go a little faster to clear it. Millions of legs, it's super bouncy. Like, Like when you board slide it, you feel yourself sink into the rail, which might make for some fun feeling grinds. Probably not. It's probably gonna feel awful. So this is the OG box from the wooden park. Once again, an obstacle that went missing. When I just drove up, I haven't seen this thing in years. I was pretty excited to see it again. I'm pretty sure it's the one that used to be there. This is where I learned backsmith kick flips. This is where I learned nose manual nollie 360 flips. This is like the only ledge that I've ever done like a proper crooked grind flip out. I did a crooked grind like nollie donkey kick heel. Still never done nollie flip. We used to session this box for hours, but now it only has 2 pieces of coping. Maybe I'll try to get a quick little session on it. I don't know if I'm gonna really skate it, but it's cool that it's here. Maybe I could like grind it through the wood. I left my golf wax at Woodward, so we're using classic unscented candle wax, which I hate this stuff, but it's not that hot out, so it should still work, especially since I'm not really waxing metal. I'm just gonna wax the wood. So you got this thing. I'd like to do like all 4 manuals on it. It's like manual, nose manual, switch nose manual. Play with that and then maybe do some other stuff. It's really hard to skate though. Length, if you flip, you're falling over to flat off the circle. I wish the landing manual had the circle was like 2 feet longer. I like kind of whacked it, almost did it anyways. I'm taking it, I don't care. So this flat bar is exaggeratedly tall. I don't know who drew up the dimensions for it, but it's like, I don't know, 2 inches slower than a California picnic table. Like, it's uncomfortable to ollie onto like just about everything besides board slides. You can actually like try. So probably very few tricks were ever learned on this flat bar, with the exception of the one thing that I can think that I figured out on it was back feeble frontside 360 shove, just because it's high enough off the ground that you have time to let the board whip around. Did I mention that it was aluminum? Because it's aluminum. That was hard to get it to grab. I couldn't really get my fingers on it till that dry. You might be looking at a lot of this stuff and thinking to yourself, well, it's just like a classic junkyard park. I don't understand. Now we're going to get into some of the skate parky stuff. So this, they wanted a double set. The kids were like, yeah, we're going to build a double set. It'd be fun to play on. So like an 8 stair, then a 4x4 next to it, so it's bigger. And what they designed, insanely oversized 8 stair. Like, if you can skate this 8 stair like stairs, you're skating like a West Coast 11 stair. And then the 4x4 has like the biggest flat ever, so you can't even skate like a double set. Even if you had like infinite run up, unless you had some sort of like roll in, you're not going to be able to push fast enough to clear it. Not that this thing would ever have that much run up, but and the most OD hubba you've ever seen. Oh, it has this like crack at the bottom right where you land too. I don't know what's up with that, but I'm gonna try to like, I don't know, maybe I'll like go down the 4th stair and then wall ride down the 4th stair maybe. But the pointlessness of this whole setup, first of all, that A-frame, that rail never gets skated because it's like pretty low at the top, but the bumps are really steep. So you're kind of like floating up high and landing on it. It feels almost like a mega ramp rail, I swear. It's like the most uncomfortable rail. I remember back in the day, we would always do like Smith grinds on it. And we would just like pretty much stall Smith at the top and just like glide down. This is the part that pisses me off the most. Look how wide this thing is. Why do they have 2 of the exact same flat bars on this obstacle? First of all, you could have this Euro gap be from there to there, just a little guy, because you don't need all that width for a Euro gap. You just need enough to like clear to go up. And then you could have one round rail down the middle that goes up and across. And there you go. You can hit it with front side and back side. And then you have room for one other obstacle, like a bump to ledge that you could hit front side and back side right here. And then you could leave the hubbas on the side. Or you could have a straight out ledge going on one side and a hubba like that goes across and down in the middle. Make the Euro gap just as small, put the flat bar right here. There's like a million ways that you could have built this setup right here that it would have twice as many options. But for whatever reason, they thought, well, we want a Euro gap. Oh crap, you can only skate the rail from one side. So let's do 2 rails instead of just, let's move the Euro gap over, put the rail separate, and then you can hit it from both sides. This pyramid's a little bit on the steeper side. I actually kind of like it though. It's kind of like a classic East Coast pyramid. It's very floaty. You don't get to skate it that much anymore though, just because it has these big holes. I see like the local kids, like they'll go at the exact right angle to go over the hip and like land in this like perfect spot because they're used to it. I saw a kid do like a really big nollie backside flip when I first got here. I might end up skating it, I might not. Popped right out of a hole in that Smith. There's giant holes everywhere. Wouldn't be the worst thing to skate as a mini ramp for stalls. But grinding with aluminum, it's so inconsistent, like it's either like really slick, so you'll get like a good like almost hydroplane on it, or you just dig in and it's the worst feeling ever. I'm almost landing on a 5-0 shove fakie. Tall enough that you should be able to do all the Smiths and stuff like that, but the cooking's set so terribly that you can't Smith, you can't feeble. Also galvanized aluminum. It's like the worst combination of everything.
local skateboarders designed the park. And they asked some of the younger guys who just sort of knew like the rough idea of the obstacles that they wanted. So they knew that they wanted an eighth there. They wanted a double set, which I already pointed out how terrible it is. The ledge that they designed to go across and down, I highly doubt they intended it to be like as impossible to skate as this. I think they imagined something much lower to get on, and then it just has like a low hubba at the end, but that's clearly not what they got. Also the material that this park's made out of, I don't know if you ever skated some of these prefab concrete things, but basically these holes are so they can like lift and set in these pieces, and they all, every single hole all over the park, massive gaps. And the orange ones, they're the ones that they're spray painted that are even worse, but this is like, that's like a full get your wheel stuck in it, you're gonna fall type deal. All the concrete's coming out because on the East Coast the ground shifts a lot because of rain, a lot of fluctuation, cracks all over the place, big holes. So here's my biggest complaint about the design of the park though. Like, okay, you want a lot of dead space, fine, that's cool. I like that style of skate park, sort of like a cherry thing. This thing we used to really like, it's like out of this quarter pipe to wall ride. As you can see, like all the marks right there. What sucks is this isn't high enough to necessarily skate it like a wall ride, and it's not low enough to really bump up to a ledge super comfortably. I'm pretty sure my friend Caleb though like did wally up to front 5-0 slash and then went in. The main thing I was excited to skate when I got here was this metal box. It used to be like right up on the edge of it, so it was like almost like an extension. I think it was originally designed to be an extension, but they just put a box this far from the coping, so it was like too far away to wall ride on. And then it was like so close they didn't feel that cool to like roll up and do stalls on, so it's sort of like a slappy install and then gap out in transition. But I guess they like yanked it out and pushed it all the way against the wall. I'm not really sure why. It sort of takes away one of the options, but whatever, I'm sure they had their reasons. This thing right here is actually one of the scariest backside nose grinds I've ever done in my entire life. I don't know what I was thinking. I also like randomly did like a nose slide big spin on it, I think. And then these two back-to-back ledges, which are way too tall and short to have any fun on. Like if this was a street spot, it'd be really sick. Just like metal ledges, they're uncomfortably tall, knee high, I'm guessing. Maybe good to do some nose blunt tricks on where you just go fast and skibble across the top, but I'm not even gonna bother to skate these. I remember we used to skate them back in the day, and like anything nollie into them, even like a nollie crook or a nollie nose grind, took so much effort to get up on. This is my favorite obstacle here. But yeah, they literally took all the flow out of a skate park because the skaters only knew the obstacles that they wanted, and they weren't really good at like setting it up to where it would flow, and just totally ruined a perfectly good skate park to where like now, as you can see, there's still skate scene. There's still people in Westminster coming to this park, but they could have had something really special. Even if they would have just kept up with the wooden park, or even took the original metal park and just like redesigned it to be, you know, better, like same obstacles, just like upgrade it, sort of like they did with the Brea skate park, concrete or wood with better dimensions. Oh, it would have been so sick. If it's your local park, hey, it's better than nothing. I know that there's people watching this video who are like, that's 10 times better than my skate park. That's not the point of the video. The point of the video is it could have been 50 times better than your skate park, but they just dropped the ball. And I know some of the local guys who designed it, and it's like not like they're not skaters. It's not like they don't know what good obstacles are. Just the way that they communicated it to the city, the way the city interpreted it, turned into sort of just like a big letdown of a skate park. And this was like, this park's 30 minutes from where I was living, and it was like the closest park to me. And when it finally got done, there was all this build up and excitement, like we're finally getting a new park. It's gonna be concrete. It's gonna be so sick, because at that point in time, there wasn't a lot of free concrete parks. And then boom, it ended up being this. And I just remember like kind of being emotional about it, being like, no way. Like we waited like a year and a half for this. What a bummer. And you know, since it was something new for the first little bit, we like still had a lot of fun here. I definitely skated a good bit, but now I live in the land of a million perfect skate parks. So I just feel bad for a lot of the locals. Anyways, I'm sure stuff like this has happened near you. Just if you're ever building a skate park, please, please, please really keep an eye on how the design's coming out. Most importantly, pay attention to the dimensions. Figure out your inches, figure out your feet, and tell them exactly what you want, because otherwise you're going to get some monstrosity, exaggerated, unskateable, bio Superman version of like what you designed. Anyways, thanks.